Mullen stock continues to fall as progress slows down, and the only hope left is the 23rd December meeting. So, should you buy the stock? Keep watching as we go through recent news as well as my chart analysis and price prediction. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel Stocks 101 for regular stock market updates. Investors were expecting David to drop an announcement regarding the Delpac Logistics deal on 30th November, but that did not happen. So now people have shifted focus to the 23rd December meeting as they wait for David's big announcement. David Michery in a podcast a few weeks ago had hinted on big developments in the near future, giving people high hopes, but after 2 weeks we have no updates, and that has caused unrest amongst the crowd, which honestly is quite justified. Another red flag is the possibility of a further dilution as David purchased 1.3 billion voting rights for $25,000, taking away all power from shareholders. If the meeting results in any production related update, whether it be MULN or ELMS, we might see a reversal. With all that in mind, let's analyze the charts. So as you guys can see right here, we're now in the 1-day chart for MULN. And as always, we'll first analyze the 1-day chart, then the 1-hour chart, and to end it off, we'll get the 5-minute chart. But right off the bat, we can see that we're currently at a price of 19.10 cents pretty much on the pre-market, and just a moment before this, before I started recording, we were at 18.9 cents. So there's a some sort of a small recovery, but of course it's not enough. Yes, we did hit a low of 18.10 cents yesterday, and why did this happen? Well, of course we all know that the DPL deal is lagging behind, and of course we do not have any statements on this matter by David Michery, right? I personally was expecting him to at least tweet out something before 30th November, but it turns out that his last tweet was on 19th or 16th November, I believe, right? So I personally was kind of disappointed by that. But then again, there are a few reasons to say, stay bullish as well. But we'll come on those, later, right? We'll discuss those later. First up, of course, all of the negative factors. We did make a reversal pattern over here, which does not look good, right? We did make a pin bar on the lower side, pin bar on the upper side, green, red, right? So this kind of works like this, and I believe that we're probably headed even lower, right? This might not make enough sense to you guys, but I personally have tested it many times, and yes, this pattern does work. So yeah, that's something that I made myself. So anyways, moving on further about the bullish points, when Robert Bollinger got, or rather he gave David Michery 60% of Bollinger Motors, right? He gave Mullen Automotive 60% of Bollinger Motors. He traded that in return for 50 million shares of MULN, right? And that, of course, he was an entrepreneur himself, and I'm sure that he had lawyers and financial experts assessing Mullen as a company. And of course, if they did say yes to it, I'm pretty sure that, they would have seen something in it. And of course, on the other hand, during the ELMS deal as well, if the court approved, if the jury, if the, what do you call it, the justice system, right, the company justice system approved Mullen to be a good takeover, company, a good company to take over ELMS, then that, of course, is a good sign for them. But at the same time, there are two more things to look at right now, right? Of course, there are people on Twitter and Reddit and other social media platforms that are kind of, what do you call it, making up hype for the stock. And I personally dislike that, because whenever you make hype for a stock, what happens is that, of course, people will buy, right? People will buy the stock, the price will go up because of the hype. But of course, once all of that hype fades away, and it turns out that, they were expecting something that, wasn't supposed to become a reality anytime soon, the stock price goes down, right? And that, of course, is one of the reasons why I personally don't like hype, and that's why I'm personally telling you guys over here in my analysis, in my opinion, that I believe MULN will rightfully go down right now in terms of price, but it will recover, right? As I already told you, I am bearish on the short term and I'm bullish on the long term. And why is that so? Well, before we talk about that, there is another red flag that I'd like to mention, right? We all know that starting a car company, of course, there will be difficulties, but I personally don't think that there should be as many difficulties as David is kind of making it look like, right? Now, I think that while starting a car company, how it goes is that, hey, you start a company, you make a prototype, right? That is where you'll require the main money. After that, you can simply put it out for pre-orders. You get pre-order money, make some vehicles, sell some vehicles, get more money, right, and repeat the process. But of course, in David's case, I'm pretty sure he has raised more than enough money to make a ton of prototypes and then make a ton of vehicles as well. Then why didn't the vehicles get on road? Why weren't the vehicles produced, right? That's of course one question. And now every time that they tweet out something related to the tour that they're doing, right, the strikingly different tour, and anything about Mullen 5, they always get a ton of hate. And honestly, you cannot blame the investor for that, right? Investors are down 90, 95. Well, some are down like only 40 or 50%, but still, that's a great deal, right? That's a great number. That's a large number. So it's of course the CEO's responsibility. It's David's responsibility to, hold himself accountable and come out here like, hey, yes, I did mess up, but now I'm doing XYZ, XYZ to kind of fix this up and give you guys better value for your investment, right? That's what he's supposed to do. And what is he doing? Well, he's maintaining silence. Now, of course, there are two sides to this as well, right? You must be thinking that, hey, there are two sides to a lot of things, right? Of course, um, it might be because David is kind of, letting things calm down before he actually drops in a massive announcement, right? It could be the calm before the storm, but at the same time, it could be because, of course, he is getting a lot of hate and criticism, right? And of course, he might not be able to, what do you call it, work up or rather live up to his words, right? So that's, of course, a negative sign. But at the same time, I'm not here to spread fear about the stock or, encourage people to sell. My entire goal is to just give you guys my opinion so you can make a smart investing decision. And I personally believe that this might be a good price to buy the stock, even if you're willing to take the risk, right? It's of course certainly better than prices such as this over here, like 30 cents, 40 cents, right? And even if the stock gets back into the 60-cent range, that's still a 3x return from the current price, so that might be good, right? You can consider that, of course. And at the same time, if we're talking, kind of long term, I believe that at least in the next 4 or 5 years, right? First up, Delpac Logistics, the deal has to be done by 2024's, I think, first quarter or third quarter, right? First or third quarter. So once that is done, of course, vans will be out, right? Cars will be out, and the company will actually start making revenue. Things will start moving. So that might be a good thing, right? But at the same time, I'm not getting your hopes high because, of course, this is a risky stock. And of course, that is why it is a high reward stock as well. But with that being said, if we want to analyze it any further, we'll have to jump on into the 1 hour chart. So let's do that. So now that we're in the 1 hour chart, we can see that over here we have a lot of pin bar patterns, right? First up over here, we did get a pin bar followed by a red candle indicating a drop. Now we do have a pin bar over here, right, to end the day off. And this kind of could have been bullish, right? But at the same time, we did get a pre-market gap down. So if we make a red candle over here, we might be in for a reversal on the lower side again, right? And we might fall. Will we break 18 cents? I personally don't think that we will get such a big negative or rather bearish rally today, right? If you ask me what's going to happen today, of course, there will be some volatility, but at the same time, I believe that we probably will not cross $18.4 on the lower side, right? But at the same time, I'm not getting your hopes high again, right? So this day probably will be another red candle, and only time will tell that. But of course, if you want to analyze the stock further, the 1 hour chart, of course, does not have enough information, so we'll have to move on into the main stuff, that is the 5-minute chart. And now that we're in the 5-minute chart, we can see that yesterday we did get some good volumes, right? So that's one good thing, but at the same time, most of it probably was selling pressure, right? We did get a crazy candle over here where we fell by about 3.5% in a single candle. The volume around 400,000 shares, which accounts to about, I believe, $200,000 in a 5-minute candle, right? It's big money considered the value and the market cap of the stock. Of course, 18.4 we have a support. We did fall all the way down to 18.10 cents. And of course, if we look over here, we have another support at 19 cents. Of course, that is quite obvious. We do have a resistance at 19.3 and another one around 19.45. So if you ask me what's going to happen today, right? Once we get into a gap down, I believe that we'll probably go up a bit, get resisted somewhere around here, and then we'll continue to fall, right? I don't think that we'll start the day off by falling right away, right? Like, don't even consider this small pullback, right? A lot of people think that we'll just go down, but I believe that we'll first go up a bit and then we might be in for a bearish rally. With that, my price prediction, well, I personally think that the stock will probably head down and break 18 cents once before it goes up, because again, we do have a lot of time, a long wait before the 23rd December meeting comes up, right? And that's only when we'll get to know where the stock is headed, where the company is headed. And on the upper side, I don't really see any potential at the moment, right? But in the long term, of course, I have already given you guys a price prediction of $2 or $3, right? So that probably stays there, right? I'll reiterate on it. But with that, of course, remember that I could be wrong. So this most definitely is not financial advice, and you should always do your own research before you trade. If, however, you enjoyed my analysis, be sure to hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, be sure to hit the dislike button. You can subscribe to our channel Stox 101 for more such videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.